It's David Merriman Scott here. I'm with Mary Henige, and you are in charge of broadcast, television, and social media. Is that correct?
I am.
Tell me a little bit about your job.
Well, I've been in this position for about 5 months, and I've learned a tremendous amount from the team, from Christopher, from the marketing folks, and especially during this time in GM's history, to be able to come and to observe social media and to learn the power of what we've been able to do. And really the opportunities we have working with marketing to tell stories, because really what we need to do is to humanize our company.
So let's talk about that for a little bit. What do you mean by humanize? What are sort of the elements of humanizing a company, and how does one go about it? Like, my gosh, GM, it's a big company. How do we humanize it?
Well, I've worked here 23 years, and the people of General Motors are loyal, passionate, committed, and the car business is something that people really get behind. People love their vehicles. If they don't like their vehicle, they're going to talk about it.
Yes.
But there's such passion, and there's a lot of brand loyalty as well. And I grew up in a GM family and from Detroit, and so if you can sort of
Did your father work at GM?
He did.
Really?
He did.
Wow.
Yes.
Grandfather?
No, not grandfather, but my husband as well, retired early from GM. So the car business is a fascinating business, and it's really important, but it's easy to hate General Motors. But people don't hate their Chevys. They love their Chevys. They love their Cadillacs. And the people who work on our Chevys and Cadillacs, I mean, we love this company too and these brands. So if we can begin to let our employees tell our stories, the loyal customers, our dealers, the suppliers, I mean, it's a lot easier to hate General Motors, but not us, because when they come here, they're like, we're people. Yeah. We're moms, we're dads, you know, we do other things. We like to eat and to do fun things.
So tell me, and I absolutely agree with that. I mean, it's easy to say GM is, but when you say a person at GM, it's really hard to do that. How, we talked earlier about storytelling, and how storytelling can humanize an organization. What do you mean by that, and how does storytelling help?
Well, really, if you think about storytelling, it's from the beginning of time. People want to tell stories, and you can get an emotional connection when you tell stories. And really, the car business, as complicated as it is, everyone has a story about it. You know, you make it personal when you're able to tell stories. People link to you. I mean, you go back to all the best speechwriters. I mean, there's definitely an art to storytelling. But really, it's allowing people to tell the stories and to see what it is they want to hear. I mean, we can do that through blogs. We can do that through a conversation. But now, through the power of YouTube and blogging, you're telling a story, and this seems very intimate because before the camera's on, it's just you and me, and now other people get to hear it. And then they think, okay, well, I like her. I cannot begin to tell you, as you know, how many people you've become friends with that you've never met.
Thousands.
That you actually decide that you really like. Yes. And you see their updates every day, you see their posts, you start to understand who they are. Yes. You also find people that you think, I really don't like them, and I hope I never really officially get to meet them. But there are others that I have found through my career at GM and really these last 6 months, and I'm like, they're wonderful people. And I think they're pulling for me, and I think they're pulling for GM because they've met us, and they've interacted not just with me, but our employees, with our CEO, Fritz.
So you have this curious job where you're doing all of this, you know, direct communication, social media, web stuff, but you've also got broadcast television, right? You're also working with the media, with reporters to be seen in a good light on television. In fact, the CEO, Fritz Henderson, has or actually Bob Lutz has an interview later today, right?
Right.
Maybe it's happening right now. Does that make you schizophrenic, or are they kind of two things that are really related? You know, one is direct, another one is getting other people to tell the story.
When I first started my career at General Motors, when we started the broadcast department, that was sort of an anomaly, and they were sort of like over there. I was like in media relations, and really in the 80s, everyone was worried about print. Then it was magazines, and then it was like, okay, we need consumer media. We don't just want trade publications. Broadcast, I don't think has ever been really more important. Now, you can talk about television itself and maybe failing ratings, but television stations and different news outlets, they figured out how to recreate themselves, to put their content on the web, to allow people to comment. The fact that you can do like a Fox morning special and they're saying, oh, here's what somebody's tweeting today. So I really think that broadcast has learned how to merge the intersection of trying to take what's out there on the web to make it relevant, and also for the feedback. I mean, it's a sport for some of these newscasters.
So then it does make sense to put those two things together.
It does. And what's wonderful, too, is when we do news feeds of stories about us, we love to link to news programs and to broadcast coverage because you get that credibility. You know, we can do some videos, and we do, but when you hear someone else saying it, it makes it very real. And again, humanizes the company.
So now, I asked a similar question at the end of the other couple of videos that we've done today. What is your advice for your peer? So let's say you're at a meeting, corporate communications people, and they're like, I don't know about all this twittering and blogging stuff, you know, the media's fine. What is your reaction?
I do get that question, like, doesn't it take up a lot of time? It's just a different way of communicating. Traditional media relations take so much less time, so I'm not really spending any more time communicating. I'm just communicating differently. And truthfully, I know that I'm having a larger impact because I get the feedback. I can see it. And you know when you've turned a consumer around, which is kind of thrilling. We still talk to reporters, and reporters are still very important to us, but you never quite know what's going to happen with the stories. When you're telling our own story and you get that reaction directly from consumers, it's really important. But I think that really we have to get over the control issue. And those of us who grew up in media relations, we really had little control. I mean, you're trying to tell a corporate story, whatever that is, or help to launch a vehicle, but really you sort of know what your messages are. Now it's sort of, it's crazy. It's this frenetic pace, but at the same time, you get such great feedback. And so I think that even working with marketing, I mean, we are all recreating ourselves. And I think about when I went to school, you could get a mass communications major, and I know a lot of programs still have mass comm. Really, is there any mass communications anymore? I mean, it's very personal, it's very directed.
Excellent, Mary. Thank you so much, and thanks for organizing this day.
We enjoyed it, David. Thank you so much.